Hello friends, in this video I will be talking about Django REST Framework because we know how important is REST implementation for any backend programming language. In this particular video I will be showing you the minimum steps required so that you can create and implement Django REST Framework. So let's start with the application. Here it comes. So at first let me close all the tab over here. So at first what I have done is I have created one simple application by the name called second. Well, this is the second application I'm working on. That's the reason I gave the name a second. You are free to choose whatever name you feel like. So inside the second, what are the things that I have got? Well, I have got settings.py, and this is very important, and plus I have got .env where I will be storing all my configuration details. Unfortunately I cannot open this file because it has got all the password and every credential which I will be using in this particular application. But I will be showing you settings.py. So let me open settings.py. Once you have added your .env, you have to install the package python.env, and once you have installed that, you have to give a call to the load._env, and then you have to give a call to this particular function which eventually will read this particular file. And inside the env file I have added the secret key, so for that reason I'm giving a call to the secret key that comes from the env. Similarly, I have also enabled the debug as true inside the env file. That also I have done it. As you can see over here, I'm giving a call to the package that is called REST Framework. That's the reason I've added an install app. As I scroll down over here, you will find in the database part, I'm not using SQLite, rather I'm using PostgreSQL, and for that reason this is the configuration that you need to do. So here you are mentioning you are using the PostgreSQL. Let me tell you a couple of things. In order to work with PostgreSQL, first what you need to do is that you have to install the PostgreSQL server, like what I have done over here. I have installed the Postgres server. The PostgreSQL server need to be installed, and after that you need the ID, and the most popular one is pgadmin. So you need to install this ID. So first you will install the PostgreSQL server, and it's very straightforward process. You just need to follow the widget, and then you will be installing this particular ID. And once you have installed the ID, now what you will be doing is that you have to create a server. So if you right click over here, if you go to register, you click over here, you have got a couple of options, like for example connection. You are working on your local system, so you will write localhost over here. Port which the PostgreSQL makes use of is 5432. That would be there by default. Whatever password you have given the time when you're installing PostgreSQL, that password you need to provide, and you will click on the save button, and then you will come over here and you give the name of the server. So that you need to mention, like what I have done over here. I created one server by the name called my server. Okay, so as I click on this, inside this I have created, there will be an option called database. Like I have got 3 database over here. That's the reason you can see 3 over here. You can right click, you just go and click on the database name, and you just give the database name only. By default Postgres user is always there, which is provided to you by default, so you don't have to do anything unless and until you are creating a new user. So once you create the database, you don't have to create any table, because the table will be created the time when the make migration command will be executed. Like I created one database called crm_db. Although I have executed my file, that's the reason you are able to see these tables, but by default this table won't be there. So inside the schema option you would find the option for the table. So this table will be not there initially when you will create the database for the very first time. Once you connect your PostgreSQL with your application, like what I have done over here, as you can see, this is going to give a call to the database which is Postgres. And one more thing you need to remember is that you have to install a package. Let me show you the package name that is right over here. You need to install this particular package that is called PSY, that means scicopy2. Okay, this package you need to install, because this package will be responsible for connecting your applic project with the PostgreSQL. But you don't have to register this package in your settings.py. You don't need to do that, like we do for other packages. But for this particular package you don't need to do that, but this package should be there in your system. And I have created one application, one product over here. Product is over here, one app which I have created, as you can see right over here. And then you will go for make migration and migrate respectively. You will also create the user. Like I have created one super user. I give the username as admin, and I have given a password qwerty@1. This password I have given. So this super user you also need to create, because with the help of the admin panel you can access your REST API endpoint. Apart from that, you can also work on Postman, that also I will show you. So after you have done the settings, like if I show you once again, here you are stating that which is your default database, what is the default database name, everything you will be mentioning in your .env file. Similarly, the username is a Postgres by default, the password will the one that you have given, the host name is your localhost, and the port number is 5432. So this configuration you will be mentioning, and everything will be done. And then you create your application and I will show you that what model which I have created. Let me open the model file, and over here I've created one model called category, and this particular category I will be providing in the form of a drop down. Okay, and this is the model which I have created by the name called product. The product model will have following attribute: the name, which is of type char field, description, text field, price, decimal, that means you can accept fraction, brand is character, and then category. If you see the category is provided in the form of a drop down. So this category will come as a choice. The choice will be provided in the form of drop down. As you can see, the category is coming from here. So category dot choices. So this will be in the form of drop down. Stock is in the form of integer, and then user has been provided by the default user that comes up with any Django application. That is the reason I mentioned the package called django.contrib.model. From there I'm getting the user, and that user will be working as a foreign key, and this user is the user which is basically going to be your create super user, the command which you are firing for creating an admin. That user would be the user that would provided by default, and that means if you create more users, those users will be shown over here, and that is working as a foreign key. Okay, so if you notice over here, it is coming from the user model. Fine, and there is an option called create assets, then that's been working on the date time field, which will be an auto generated one. So these are the properties that is there inside the model called product. When you will go for make migration, once you do this, automatically all those attribute will be registered inside this particular table called product underscore product. Well, this first product is basically the app name, the second one is the model name, and since I have got the app name and the model name both are same, that's the reason you can see product underscore product, and rest of the other table will come by default, that will be provided by Django. So if I click on this, you will find that over here there is a attribute called column. If you click on this, all the attribute which I have given, which I have mentioned in my model file, everything is right over here. Although I have inserted a couple of data, that also you can see it. If I right click over here, you can see once again, if I right click on the table name, you will get the option for view, and over here you have a all row. If you click on this, it will show you the data that is provided currently. So over here you can see two records are provided, are already there right now. Okay, now I will be firing one more record. Eventually you will see that will be updating the table as well. So let's come over here now, and as we saw the model part, now how are we creating an instance of this model, and that will be done through the urls.py file. So let me open the urls.py file of your project first. So inside the urls.py file of the project, we are giving a call to endpoint called API, and which eventually is giving a call to the application called product, and inside the product application there is a URL file that is getting called right over here. So the control will come over here. As you can see, there are two endpoints. One is called register underscore product and the list underscore product. So let's start with the register underscore product. So that has been defined in a function present inside the file called view. So let's come to the view file right over here. As we come to the view file, you will find, and as I said already, this particular video is been dedicated for Django REST Framework. So that's the reason our view endpoint will have this decorator called app underscore view. So app underscore view will convert your regular Django view into the RESTful API endpoint. And since this is a post, so we are mentioning over here post. Similarly, we will also have a get API endpoint. So let's first go to the post, because post means user will provide the data from the front end, and that data will be saved into the Postgres via Django. So we will be calling this register product through this particular URL endpoint, and it will hold the data initially inside this particular parameter called request. So I will collect the data one after the other. So for that reason, what we would do is that we'll give a call to the request.data.get function. So get function will pick up the data one after the other. So this particular attribute name description will come or will be registered in the front end. Your front end can be like I can get into the admin panel. So here the admin is admin, and let's give the password which I have given as QWERTY@1, and let me open this. So as I do that, you can see we have already got the product. Okay, one more thing, the product will not be visible in your endpoint automatically. For that you have to do a small change inside your admin.py file. You have to mention your app name, you have to register your app name. So once you register your app name, I mean your model name, then only this particular view will come over here. Now as I click on this, you will be getting the option called add product, and over here you can add a new product. As you can see, currently there are two products there, computer, TV. So let's create a new product called suppose table. Okay, a new product I'm giving, it's for all. Okay, and the price would be somewhere like 12,000. The brand is suppose MobiFix. I'm just giving a random name, MobiFix. Okay, and the category is like we can say it's like a home category. Okay, and the stock is around 12. We have item, and look over here, this is the admin which I have said this is a super user we have created. That is what coming, and this is going to be working as a foreign key. So that means all this input you are providing through the admin panel, and that input will be accepted with the help of request.data.get, and see individually it will pick up all the data, it will store on this particular variable. Now one thing you have to keep it in mind, except the user, all are like everything is fine except the user, all the input is absolutely fine, but the user is somewhat different because user is coming from your Django contrib.auth.model. From here it is coming, so we need to check the username. So what is the username? So for that reason what we are doing is that we are giving a call to a try catch block. We are giving a call to the user model, user.object.get method that accept the parameter in the form of username. Whatever the username I have given, that I have to pass over here, and eventually if it is existing, if my user, that is admin, if it is existing, then that user information will come over here, and that's what I can use it right over here. Okay, so this is something which you need to do in case of the user attribute, just to ensure that the user which you are trying to access is actually present in your database. So if we find that yes, all the input user has given, that is absolutely fine. If none of if any of the input is missing, if it is not all, see it's written if not all, if any one of the thing is missing, then it will give you a response. Now what kind of response is this? This is an JSON response. This response is coming from the DRF, from the Django REST framework. This response is coming. This response is primarily in the form of a HTTP response, which is in the form for JSON. That response over here, curly braces are there, so the JSON response will provide it. If one of the attribute does not have a value, then there will be a response been forwarded. Otherwise the product is getting saved. So this is the model name. So when you are giving a call to the model name or the class name, because the model name and the class name both are same, say model name is a product, the class name is also product. So when you're giving a call, we are basically giving a call to the constructor, and these are the data that you are passing, and eventually this data represent the input which you have given, and subsequently these are the in the form of a key value pair, because that's what is getting matched over here. So all your input gets stored automatically except the created at, this will be auto generated, and once you have written this, the instance get created, and that instance is over here, and with the help of .save method, the instance is getting saved inside the PostgreSQL. Okay, and after you have saved that, now we are creating our response. We are passing the response to the front end with this particular message and the product name which I have registered. So that response will come back to the front end with the HTTP request of 200. That is a success. So let me click on the save button over here to see that the record is getting saved. Yes, the record got saved. As you can see over here, successfully, there was 2 instances before, but now there is a 3rd instance which is present over here, right? So now if you want to display this instance, you will go to this endpoint. So this is another endpoint which we have got, that is inside the url.py of your application API. There is another endpoint that is called list_product. With the help of that, we can give a call to this particular method, get product, which will collect all the data from a model. So product.object.all will collect all the data and will store over here. But one thing we need to remember, that product is in the form of a database, right? So it is actually your what do you call it, this is your table name that is called product, which is basically in the form of an SQL, structured query language, but you're working in the form of an object. So you need someone who would convert the database query into a form which can be available for Python to work on, and for that reason there's something called serializer. So we will create a new file called serializer.py. Even if you come to the Django REST Framework, over here you will also find the option serializer that support both ORM, object relational mapping. So if you click on the serialization, it will take you this to a particular page where it very clearly says that serializer allows complex data such as query set. The query set, that means the record that is coming from the PostgreSQL, which is basically in the form of a structured query language. So that's a query set and model instance to be converted to the native Python data type, so that it can be easily rendered in the form of a JSON. Exactly. So with the help of serializer, what we are going to do is that it will convert your regular query set into a form that is the JSON, which can be handled by Python. So I'm giving a call to REST framework serializer. As you can see from DRF, the serializer is coming. This is my product model name, which is my product. So I gave a class name called product serializer, and we are giving a call to the model serializer because we are working on the database. So what we are going to do is that we are converting. So in context to the username, we have to mention this particular line, that in context to the username, user.username, because you remember that actually it is coming from the django.contrib.auth.model, which we saw over here, django.contrib.model. Over here actually the property name was username, from there it is coming. So we need to mention this. This is one exceptional attribute which you have to mention in context to user. So serialize.carfill source equals to from user, we have the username, from that we are getting the user, and we're creating one more inner class, that is a meta class, where we're mentioning the product, and then we are mentioning all the attribute that we need to provide it to the front end. So this serializer will convert your query set into JSON format so that Python can work on. So when you're giving a call to the get endpoint, that is app_view get endpoint, so that you can display the data. So once you collected all the data from the model inside this particular reference, we are passing the reference to the product serializer, and there will be multiple instances of there will be multiple recorder there, so that many equals to true. So this product serializer will convert the query set into the format of Python, and we store it inside the serializer, and that what we are forwarding back to the front end. So this is the key by the name called product, which I have given. You are free to choose whatever key you want. So inside the serializer.data, all the data will come back to the front end. Okay, so let's see this whole thing in action right now. So as I come over here, I have already created the third instance. So let's come over here, and this is the endpoint that's called list underscore product. As you can see over here, we have a list underscore product URL. So when I hit the enter, when I hit the enter, you will see all the three record that is there. So let's match over here. We have got TV, we have got computer, we have got table. So over here the ID 1 is for TV, the ID 2 is for computer, and just now we created something called table that is also been shown over here. So that means your get API endpoint is also working very perfectly fine. So we inserted a new record with the help of Django panel, but we can also insert the record with the help of Postman as well. So in the case of Postman, this is the endpoint that we are going to write, localhost /8000/API/register_product, as we saw in the urls.py register_product. So let me create one more product over here, suppose called AC. This is a product, and let's give the description as very flexible. XIBLE, very flexible, and the price, let it be like I'm just giving an arbitrary price, suppose 38,000. Yes, and let's go with the brand name, suppose LG, and the category is, since this category is from the drop down, so we have to be very careful that the category should match the category which you have given over here. So let's be the category called home. This should be the category. So we copy this category, we put the category over here. Okay, very good. Let's come up with the stock, that is, suppose there are 5 items, and of course you have got only one user is called admin. And now and this is of type JSON. So we are passing the data, so it's a post request. This is the endpoint. We are inserting it in the form of a body, and it is a raw JSON. So raw is there, and the format is JSON. So make sure you will choose the option called JSON from here, and let's click on the send button. As I do that, my product get registers very successfully, and here is the product name, that is called AC. Now let's come to my endpoint over here. If you reload the page, you will find even AC getting registered over here perfectly fine. And if you come over here, previously there was 3 object, and now we will find the 4th object getting generated. So as nice as possible, right? So you select this entire endpoint, you can see even the same endpoint from another tab over here. You paste it by default as a get request. You just click on the send button, and all those object comes over here as well. So from the browser also you can see those objects in the form of an array, or else you can see it from the browser. You can save the data through the help of admin panel, or you can even save the data through Postman. So that's how we saw that we are able to work on the basic, very minimum requirement in context to Django REST framework, and we have already worked with the 2 HTTP requests. One is called post and the other one is called get. In my next video I will be talking about get in context to query specific search. That means I want to search a particular product, a specific product, not like all the product which you are seeing right over here. Okay, so stay tuned with more updates coming up in context to Django REST framework. Until then, have a nice time. Bye bye.